Hey everyone. Hey everyone, welcome back to Safety Optional. Tonight we're working on our Jeep Comanche V8 swap project yet again. It's been a long time, but life got in the way, but we're finally back. And we've already done a little testing on it, and tonight we're gonna do a little bit more work on this bad boy. Stay tuned.
You're not doing this job.
So, goals for tonight. One of the problems that we're dealing with this bad boy is that the front end is too low for a V8 that's wide and has exhaust manifolds down inside the frame rails like that. Our exhaust hits our control arms down here, and we really need to solve that. So we've got a set of takeoff 3-inch lift springs that you might have seen Eric cleaning and repainting in another video.
Like 2 years ago.
Yeah. And we're gonna lift the front of this bad boy 3 inches. Personally, I'd like to lower it, but that's just not in the card. So we're gonna lift the front.
What is wrong? Lower a Jeep?
Drag racers are low to the ground, son.
We're not low, no. Go buy some sort of S10 or something.
The other thing that we're gonna do is weld up the diff. This bad boy has a Dana 35 in the rear, and we're gonna weld that up. And for weight savings, we're gonna delete the spare. Eventually we'll do a axle flip, do a spring over axle conversion on this or something to raise it up. But tonight we're just gonna focus on welding the diff. Eric is breaking loose the lower control arms, and Colin's taking the sway bar off so we can drop this thing down and change the springs. We don't even have to worry about the brake lines because we already put extended brake hoses on here. And lucky for Eric, I brought the big ratchet tonight. Did it drop down when you busted that loose, Colin?
Yeah.
So that was holding it up a little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was holding it loose.
All right.
After your third or fourth lift on or fifth lift, you kind of get the hang of it. Let's see, we lifted 3 XJs, a TJ, now an MJ. Okay, so I got criticized in the past for not offering enough technical information. So we pulled off these bolts through those holes to drop this, the lower control arm. There's the upper control arm here, brake hose, spring. We've dropped the sway bar. This right here is your tie rod, steering rod.
Oppose it a little bit better.
And you have to remove this spring retainer that bolts on right there to be able to get the coil spring out. But even with all that disconnected, it's still kind of a pain to get the coil springs out. So we're going to use a spring compressor, which is a risky proposition. They're dangerous. But we're going to go ahead and use those to compress the springs and get them out and put in the 3-inch lift springs.
Yeah, it's right back there.
So Colin's taking the spring retainer off right there. So this is the sketchy part right here, putting the spring compressors on to the coil spring. Let me move that out of your way.
Yeah, this is not seated well.
Yeah, you gotta pivot at the bottom around a little bit.
But yeah, there's
But what they do is they squeeze down that spring so you can get it out of there. And if you see up inside there, there's no way you're going to get it down around the bump stop, but the trick is to, it just has to get it up enough to get over the perch on the bottom. Okay, let's do a test fit. Well, we're almost there. We're almost there. So we got it off. Had to jack up the other side and stomp on this side a little bit to get it down, but it came off. So that's what a Jeep XJ, MJ, whatever TJ type front end looks like with no spring.
Yeah, come on.
This little rubber isolator goes up there. This is your bump stop. These are surprisingly good condition.
Other side. You want to try to shove this one in there first?
No, we gotta put this one in first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
You do one side at a time.
I'm gonna come down here.
No, you gotta get one coil up at least.
I'm gonna come here then.
Yeah, as low as you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, they're not though. To be
this one by
progressive,
itself.
you would actually have to collapse one like all the way.
This is gonna collapse first. It's softer. It's softer. This is harder.
You think these collapse all the way?
Oh, I bet they get damn near close to it.
Man,
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, they might be progressive. But to make that,
The dude's wearing a McLaren racing shirt. He knows this stuff.
Progressive rate springs, just like Formula One, right here on your.
So while they're over there monkeying with those, I'll tell you, these are some vintage Rusty's off-road 3-inch lift springs that are going in here.
yeah, those things are circa 2000, year 2000.
Yeah, they're vintage. All right, we're gonna hang on. Let's see if we can get this one off without having to use the compressors.
Okay.
Do it! Hurry! There you go.
Is that helpful or not?
Not that,
That was actually unhelpful.
Okay, I'll go higher. Go back.
it's fine. It's fine.
This way, Colin. Oh, yeah. Okay, now
So
pull
part of the
out
trick
slowly.
here is
so close,
that these things are a booger bear to get lined back up when you take the lower control arm off. So we've got a ratchet strap here
Go back a quarter inch.
rotating
Out.
the
Okay, now push.
bottom of the front axle
that.
forward
The other way.
to get the control arm to line up here.
Yes.
And
Up a
so
little bit.
Colin's got a spud in there.
Yes, up a little bit more. Okay, back a little bit more. Up and back. Oh, yeah, hold right there.
So Matt is underneath there threading in the bolt. Now you're gonna need to start withdrawing the spud a little bit.
No. I got you already out of quarter
Okay.
inch. I should be able to get started.
You want the gun to drive it
Yeah,
in?
give me the gun here. We're routing me in.
I don't like that.
Where's the,
There we go.
You're good. You're good. All right, it's touching. Woo! Holy moly! Oh, that's hot.
Ready?
Whoa! I need a wrench on this side.
Oh.
All right, all dropped down on the 3-inch lift, sitting about like it was on the jack stands. Gonna lower the rear. We didn't get to weld the diff, so really it's just on jack stands. So might be a little bit of a squatter when we're done here. We'll see.
A little bit.
Ooh, got a little lean on her.
Well, she's got little wheels on the back too. That's not as bad as I thought it'd be.
That's all right.
Should put the other two Jeep wheels on the back.
Well, these are burnout tires.
That's true.
I don't want to burn out the halfway decent 31s.
They're not halfway decent. They do have tread. They're probably, well, if it weren't for all the dry rot, they'd probably be street legal.
They're fine. They're up to Muskogee standards.
Oh yeah, no way, they're way above Muskogee standards.
All right, adapting plans. We are going to put this thing on dollies and tow it or push it over to where we can reach it with a welder to weld on the diff. And while that's going on, we're going to do some other things too. All right, so we've moved the truck around a little bit. Got it over here. Again, in the spirit of safety optional, rather than using the MIG, TIG, and other cool stuff that's on the other side, we've now stepped up to the good old Lincoln arc welder. But that'll be pretty good because we can burn a good weld in. So Dr. Gusta is going to get under here, bust out that crappy old spare tire if we can figure out how to get it down. If not, we'll leave it up there for now. And then he'll pop the diff cover off and get that thing drained out. And you know the trick is to leave the top one.
Yeah.
Just loosen it.
Wait, is it this?
Yeah, there you go. Oh. PU.
Like that.
Okay.
They weld all the gears together.
So if you look in there right now,
You don't have to do that. I mean,
this is a good thing. These are non-C-clip
they're not.
axles. This is because I've swapped in an axle into my Jeep that's a non-C-clip like this. So that's good.
Well, how does
We don't have to worry about the C-clips.
How does it work then?
You have to pull the ends out with a slide hammer, and that's why they're the ribbed drum brakes. You see the ribs there? That's another indicator. These are a little bit bigger.
You have
so
to
these
pull them out with a slide?
in 1990, I believe they changed
What's keeping the axle shaft from coming out?
the bearings.
All right, so let's weld it.
So we're gonna weld right here and up in there. Well, no, we can't weld right there. So we have to weld right here.
Yeah, just weld right there and,
and
we'll
right
flip it
here.
over and weld.
Yeah. We'll just weld the piss out of that one gear right there.
Yeah, just weld the piss out of that one gear and then flip it over and weld the other side.
Yep.
That's gonna be enough to keep it from
Let's
moving.
go. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
None of the.
Or go down to Harbor Freight and buy shitty truck spray paint kit and do it ourselves. Like really bad job for fun. I'd love to do that.
I like leaving it just like it is.
It does look good. Oh. Ouch. All your welds be as crispy as bacon.
All right, now let's give her a turn.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're both going the right direction.
Yep. Yep.
Understood.
She's heavy.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. I mean, if we're doing like major hardcore rock crawling, we could weld all the spider gears. You could weld them all up and then, you know, attach them all together and all that crap.
So we're doing this because we're not ruining everything in the whole.
Yeah. But, and then that would make like, then you wouldn't risk, you know, like breaking your spider gears. Like if we were doing like crazy rock crawling with your tires. So we're not.
So we did clean up the diff cover somewhat good. Because we don't give a hoot about this axle really, we're not really putting a lot of effort into getting it super clean. It's still pretty dirty on the outside, but it is what it is.
Yeah, normally some people like to squish the RTV out themselves before you put it on there. And the correct way, if you read the tube to do this, is to slap the cover on and then finger tight all the bolts and then wait several hours, like 12 or something, and then tighten them down the rest of the way.
up under here, we've got her welded up.
If you want a point, I'll hold it.
Yeah, so you can see where we welded the side gear to the carrier here. But because we don't have C-clips, we don't have to worry about getting to them. And we just didn't want to get it cleaned to do a bunch more welding. But that alone will help quite a bit. It already breaks the tires loose, so it'll still break them loose. And we'll potentially break an axle shaft probably before we break anything. So, or before we break that weld loose or anything inside there. So I would imagine we'll twist off the end of the axle shaft that comes in there. So, but that's done. So on to the next thing. All right, so we've got the seat bolted in there a little more firmly now.
Yeah, we've only got 2 in each side.
And Eric's attaching more bolts because we thought we were going to just
have any more.
We have more. We just need to get some.
Well, I don't know where
they're floating around.
Well, I couldn't find them.
They came out of the old mounts. So what we had done is we had just put a couple of bolts in the plates that mount to the engine brackets, but now we're putting a few more in there since we're beating on this thing a little bit more.
Which means that all that excitement at the beginning of this video of the burnouts was done with 2 bolts holding the transmission cross members, 1 on each side, literally just 2 out of the 8 that's required, and 2 bolts out of the 8. Is that right? On the yeah.
No, 4 out
4.
of 8.
Yeah, 2 on each side.
2 on each side. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
very secure for those burnouts.
All right, it's about time to call it a night. So we're gonna let Eric fire this thing up and pull her out and around.
How do you do that?
Take it for a rip.
Nice. Alright. Still a hint of tread on the tires. It's amazing how much abuse those things can take, really.
So next time we get together, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to blow out those tires. We got a whole other set.
Yeah.
All right, we got a lot done tonight with this Comanche project. We lifted the front end. We got a 3-inch lift under there. Now when we go over bumps, it doesn't bottom out. We're not banging our exhaust on the upper control arms. That is huge. Then we welded up the rear diff and got it put back together. So now when we do a burnout, we're spinning both wheels. Perfect for drag racing and doing burnouts. We also tightened up a few things, got the a little bit more hardware in the cross member and the engine mounts, and then we got the seat bolted back in. So we can actually kind of halfway drive this thing a little bit. Question is, what are we going to do next? We're going to have to sit down and do a little bit of planning on that part. But feels really good to actually be able to drive this bad boy around. It's super exciting. Future plans will have to include lifting the rear to make it look a little bit better, putting fenders on it, headlights, wiring up the fans, things like that. So we've still got plenty to do, but we are making progress. And now that the summer's over, cabin season's done, we're back around here more often. Hopefully, we're going to be having more regular work nights. sprinkled in here and there with other little projects like the Briarwood, but getting this thing where we can start taking it to some events. So that's the goal. If you've been with us this long and you've been following along with this build, I just want to thank you for being a loyal viewer. We do this as a labor of love, just for fun. We don't give two hoots and a holler about likes, subscriptions, that kind of stuff. But we appreciate you guys watching and sharing the journey with us. We'll see you next time. One more thing. If you have any good ideas for a name for this vehicle, drop them in the comments down below. We've got to think of something cool. This thing needs a name.